QWER, that's the band I want to talk about today, and I'm personally very early on in my QWER journey. Well, actually, I've only heard one song so far, so why am I sitting here about to do what I imagine is going to be a fairly long talk about this band after only one song? Well, the reason is because I have a theory about where this QWER thing is going to go, and it's a fairly well-founded one, as I'll go through. For anyone who hasn't seen that first that first video that I did reacting to Discord by QWER, I did say at the beginning of that, and I'll just quickly repeat again now. Obviously I'm in Japan. I've been dealing with Japanese music virtually solely for years, but I've also dealt a lot with Korean music, and when I lived in London I lived with a Korean partner. I was around the Korean music scene a lot. I've been following the Korean music off and on since like the mid 2000s, so a good 20 years now. And when it comes to QWER, they are somewhat the harbingers of something, I mean that in a positive way, of something that I have a feeling has been coming for a while, and I want to discuss with you today why I think QWER might actually be marking a very big change in what Korean music is. Mark my words, I'm sure people will be coming back to tell me I'm extremely right in 3 or 4 years. Let's see where this goes. Anyway, so first of all, best thing for me to do is just, I should probably actually tell you first of all that this video that I'm about to do now, I actually had originally recorded this before. I went to Korea like a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, I was in Korea, this was me, and I got this beautiful view, really cheap hotel room, which was on the 22nd floor, and I sat down I timed it perfectly at sunset, and I did this whole 20-minute talk whilst the sun was setting, and that was the video that I was originally going to upload, but unfortunately the audio on that particular video sounded terrible. Let me see if I can just play. It doubled up. I didn't bring my proper microphone with me, so you had
Well, that formula had been established.
Sounded like that.
And you
Anyway. So unfortunately it's just me sitting in my normal room today showing you some clips off of my browser. But okay, let's get into why I think that QWER is actually going to be possibly very important to the Korean music industry. Now, the big thing that I'd noticed, usually when I react to bands for the first time, if it's something like QWER where I don't have an initial opinion of where I think it's going to go, I've just been told, hey, check this out, then I'll often do a reaction and I'll read the comments a lot to see whether you guys think there's more things I should check out, whether you guys have got interesting comments that make me think, okay, there is more to look into here. And with the QWER comments, I was very intrigued because I went into it thinking, well, is it going to be manufactured pop? Is it going to be a band, kind of like Rolling Quartz area, what Rolling Quartz have been for the Korean music industry? And I was somewhat curious about the fact that it had a lot of manufactured aspects to it. And yet at the same time, it's like, okay, I do get the feeling like this is going in more of a band direction. And then so many in the comments were telling me about how it was brought together. Was it Egg Kim, I think is the name of the producer who brought it together. There was mentions that he was inspired by Bocce the Rock, something I will get round to later if I remember. And there was also, so many things about, I was asking, well, look, are these just a Korean girl band who someone said it would be profitable to stick instruments on them, quick teach them music, or are they people who actually wanted to play music first of all? And then a lot of the comments were saying, no, look, they're all aspiring musicians, but they had, due to the way the industry is in Korea, gone towards the, you go to where the jobs are, and these girls have gone towards doing idol sort of music, but they all had aspirations to be musicians. So it wasn't like a case of taking people and going, well, let's make you a band. It was a case of, no, they actually kind of would like to be a band. So, the whole Egg Kim project was about giving them the chance to do that. Okay, so this is where we stand with that. Now, as a result, I haven't watched the diaries and everything and the blogs and all of this. I just kind of know this is the vibe that you guys are giving me. So before I get too much by reacting to more of their music, I wanted to sort of point out an observation I have here. Now, obviously on my reaction channel, this channel you're watching right now, you can see I did this reaction. But on my main channel, back at broadcast, this was about 2 years ago. I did this video, which was, again, actually ironically, filmed in Korea. Will the K-pop bubble burst? A theory about mainstream music. Now, what I was talking about there is something that I still hold true to, and is very important when it comes to discussing QWER, in my opinion, which is that when we look at, so like I say, I've been following Korean music and K-pop since the mid 2000s. Yes, I haven't been as involved with it as I have been with Japanese music, but it's something that I've got a good awareness of. And obviously we had that whole spike around about 2012. A lot of things happened in 2012. Actually, a lot of music industries broke out. Obviously, K-pop was the big one. You had like Gangnam Style and all that, and then that just from there was a slew of everything else. So obviously Gangnam Style had Hyuna from 4 Minute was in the video, and then just through that and various other things, before you know it, there's all these other K-pop groups who'd been famous in Korea suddenly getting a lot more success internationally. The K-pop look broke out, and also I think 2012 also marked a year just sort of worldwide where internationally the world got smaller. The internet really brought in a lot of music from other cultures. Suddenly foreign language films, if you look at pre-2012 and post-2012, foreign language films are seen as a weird thing, and then post-2012 you've got people really are kind of okay with that, up until people watching things like Squid Game, which I don't think was in English at all. I never saw it myself. And now watching foreign language stuff is not seen as being that weird. There was a boom in so many things. The world got smaller. The 2012 Olympics in London, which I think they said was like the first digital Olympics. Everything felt much more like the world got smaller around about that time. And K-pop really was at the head of that wave, bringing in this new look. And I think it was important because around about that point, Western pop music had become a little bit dry. Everything was minimalized, a common denominator, just trying to get the most simple, inoffensive sound, stick a catchy hook on it so that it, pop people enjoy it, so people will just sing it along and go, oh yeah, I like it, I'll buy it. The whole industry was going in that direction, and K-pop came along and said, you can still be bright. You can still be fun. It's okay to have attractive people sing your music. It's okay to have them dancing around, bright colors. People still like this stuff. It's like, the sort of fake maturity that I think was starting to take over in Western pop was just sort of relieved by Korea going, we can still have fun. And for me, that was one of the major things that made K-pop really ride that wave of the world sort of mixing, all in these international ideas mixing. Should be pointed out at the same time that Kyari Pami Pami from Japan had Pon Pon Pon, which obviously was a massively successful song, and that was Japan's take, which was obviously, as usual, Japan's more out there, more crazy. We had Baby Metal soon after and things like that. Whereas Japan has always been very much about, really, I love Japan because it fuses so many ideas together. It's really the melting pot of the most crazy ideas and making them work. I feel like Korea's been in this perfect place where it straddled the line between the more experimental, fun, slightly more playful ideas of somewhere like Japan, and also having the mainstream appeal, the more bankable, catchy choruses, the more reliance on let's get some good-looking people and have them dance in front of a camera, that kind of mentality. I'm kind of generalizing here, but I think a lot of K-pop success has been a case of mixing these two things. But of course, I'm talking about 2012, and I'm also supposed to be here talking about QWER. So follow with me again as we bring this story up to date. The truth is that one of the reasons why I think my general interest in K-pop has gone down, and the reason why I did this particular video, is because K-pop has really failed to innovate since that point. And this is, people will argue, there's been this phase, there was phase 4 of K-pop, phase 5 of K-pop. I know a couple of people who actually work in the K-pop industry, not in a big way, they're just sort of like idols and everything. And it's not like people in K-pop haven't noticed this as well. You can kind of say there have been phases to K-pop, but basically, if you look at every K-pop music video from 2012 until now, they pretty much all look like they could have been done by the same director. It's all visually very similar. The sounds have changed a little bit, but there's a lot of very similar writing tropes. There's been other video essays done about the whole thing about the K-pop itself is minimalized, a lot like Western pop did, where now we're getting more and more the sung choruses are given way for these just sort of chant the title kind of choruses. And this is all very relevant and true phenomena that I've been pointing out, and I'm not the only one saying it. So am I just here critiquing K-pop in that sense? I'm not so much, but what I'm saying here and what I said in this video and what's bringing us on to the whole QWER thing is that K-pop in its current form has got to have an expiration date. Not saying that Korean music will disappear, but just all of the tropes, all of the things that we're so familiar that you see a music video and 3 seconds you know it's K-pop. I mean, all of those things, those sounds that are so K-pop, they are eventually going to hit a wall in the same way the same way disco did, nu metal did, original brand rock and roll did. None of those. Disco still exists. You can still find it. You can still find nu metal. You can still find old school rock and roll. There's a lot of old school rock and roll revival bands in Japan. But those things are no longer the chart dominating things that they once were. And all of the tropes that we look at now and go, that's K-pop. In 10 years' time, we're going to go, God, can you remember? Yeah. Do you remember when all music videos used to look like that? Everyone dancing in a formation in a colourful soundstage, and then occasionally just a quick clip of it zooming in on each member as they pose with a little bit of tilt in the camera. All of those things are going to become things where we're going to look back at them and go, God, they're going to be like the big shoulder pads of the late 80s. They're going to be like the big hair of the early 90s. They're going to be those things. They're going to be like the skater punks of the early 2000s. They're going to be something that we look back as being an era. So with any era, you need to have a change. And how's that going to happen? Well, this is where I want to bring on the QWER thing. And yeah, it seems so bizarre to, after one song, be, as you can probably guess, talking about how I think QWER are going to open this door. But here's my theory. And again, hear me out, because I've been pretty good with my predictions in the past on a lot of things. And I think if you go back to my prediction in this video, I think this was in 2022 actually, so 2.5 years ago. If you go back to what I said in that particular video, I think I said that I think K-pop's maybe got about 3 or 4 years in its current form left. So I'm pretty much on time, I think, with this one, if what I'm about to say comes true. But it's more interesting to put a prediction out before you know for certain. So I'm going to put it out now because this remains consistent with things I said before. So why do I think that everything you guys have told me in the comments and that I've seen suggests that QWER is going to be quite an important turning point? All right. So the reason basically being is that if we are going to have a change, how's that change going to come in? Well, we've talked on this channel before. I've done interviews with, I did an interview with Yewon from Rum Kicks, that was also on the main channel Baka broadcast. Scroll up, 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 scroll up. Where is it? Where is it? It's like a really recent one. There we go. Now, obviously, Yewon is in Rum Kicks, which is a Korean punk band. But there have been bands going around in Korea for a while. We talked recently, a band came out called Idiots, who I thought were absolutely brilliant. Let's see if I can scroll down and find them while I'm at it. And they were like a Korean band who had like a bit of a sort of the girls rock thing that you expect usually from Japan. They had that in there. It's probably going to be. Oh, anyway, Rolling Quartz is another band who we've talked about. There's a lot of bands like this. Who've been doing rock music in Korea. So why is QWER any different? Now, a lot of you guys said, oh, well, they're an idol rock band or an idol band. I get that. But the thing that's really important to me is that, first of all, they've had this massive success. Now, Rolling Quartz have been successful for a Korean band, but this is still a very niche thing that they're doing. So being successful in their world is not the same as having the sort of success that has a massive cultural impact. And what QWER have is the sort of success that would bag you a massive cultural impact. People are paying attention to them. The very social media presence that I've mentioned that could make them look like, manufactured band 222B is also the thing that makes them get through to people and have a cultural effect. So they have the ability to change what people look at and see as being cool. And when you see them, yes, their music video for Discord looks just like a standard K-pop video, but them holding instruments is important. And yeah, I know we've had bands like Day6 before, but I just think there's something about QWER, and I'll sort of work through this, it'll make sense. Them holding those instruments, looking the way they do, it's like, okay, this can get through to a K-pop audience. People who are used to hearing K-pop, seeing K-pop and enjoying K-pop can take this in without having to make a huge jump. But if they start getting enough of this, then seeing the instruments is going to be what's cool. And this is supported a lot by them doing these blogs where you guys have told me they show a lot about them practicing their instrumentation, learning their instruments, perfecting their instruments. Again, supported by Ed Kim's interest in Bocce the Rock, where a big part of the Bocce the Rock anime, I'm not a big anime person, it's one of only 2 animes I've ever watched all the way through Bocce the Rock. That and Nichijou, just in case you're wondering. Bocce the Rock is all about the musician's journey. And Bocce the Rock itself is set in Shimokitazawa area in Japan, that I'm actually going there today, that I work with young artists there all the time. So I understand the appeal, the infectious appeal of seeing the musician's journey, and it's portrayed very accurately in Bocce the Rock. That has to be pointed out. There's some creative license, but it's very accurately done. And I feel like Ed Kim, who I know nothing about, it would appear from everything you've said and what I've seen, that he has transferred that across, and he's basically made these girls into kind of like a Korean K-pop consumable version of Bocce the Rock. They're using social media, they're using their cool image, they look good, they got that whole thing going. And as a result, it is that feeling where suddenly people are going to start seeing musical instruments and thinking, that's what I want to do. Dad, buy me a guitar. Dad, I want to learn to play drums. It's like maybe mum's got a bass guitar in the cupboard somewhere. It's like, oh, I can't believe you play bass. I want to play your bass. That starts becoming cool. And all you need is that generational line. And then it will be like, oh, dancing. Yeah, that's the thing my older sister did. Oh, do you remember? Oh, mum, she used to want to be in a K-pop group. She used to learn all the dances. Sitting there playing my guitar. Oh, mum, you're so old. Stop dancing. You see the way this goes? It's the generational gap. It sounds like such a stereotypical thing to say, but it is true. There becomes that line where something comes in that can be the new cool in a way where the old thing then becomes yesterday's news. And, all you need is one band who really make it successful, the band's journey. Already, there must be so many other people looking at what QWER are doing right now going, quick, get online, let's start publishing our journey so other people can see us learning our instruments. Let's find our new way of doing it. Suddenly there's going to be all these people who are going to want to be the next QWER. You start getting a flood of that. That becomes a movement, that becomes new, and it's newer, it's cooler, especially with Korea's history of having troubles with, there was that whole thing why, I've heard and read a lot about why a certain TV broadcast made punk kind of banished from Korea. I've heard people talk about, Crying Nut, the Pigeon song is brilliant, but how apparently I've heard that there's a thing where, after Crying Nut, there just hasn't been a lot of bands who everyone's always compared to Crying Nut or something like that. I don't know how true that is, but I've heard that said by people. You kind of feel like the band space is this empty space that has been waiting to be filled, despite the fact there being bands like Rolling Quartz and such like. Someone needed to make it cool. And it feels like QWER have done that. It feels like QWER have done that successfully. They've got the look, they're doing the music, and the door will open. Now, I don't think, because obviously the music QWER are currently doing at the moment is definitely very accessible to K-pop. So I don't think they are indicative of everything that's going to happen in the future, but I think they are the breach in the wall. They are the gap in what we've currently seen that will open, expand, and then we will get a flood. Like I say, new bands coming through, new music, this will become the new thing. Now, if this is happening, then where does that leave everything moving forwards? Well, like I said, the old guard never disappears entirely. There'll still be, bands groups who made Korea beloved, your BTSs, your Twices. They'll still be loved because they'll have nostalgia value and everything. And obviously they'll still have hits as well coming out. And it's not like they'll completely erase K-pop, but it will no longer be like that's what the new cool thing is. The bands will be the new cool thing. And if this becomes the case, then, we're going to see, it's not like all the bands are just going to sound like QWER. Like I said, they're the breach and thing. Once they open it, that'll expand. There'll be new sounds. As people become comfortable with band music becoming the popular thing, it will be built upon. Bands will start to sound less poppy and more band. I don't mean by that they're going to sound heavy, but I mean like the direction will start to shift towards, music that maybe has a slightly less polished, a less poppy feel, less produced feel, but still clean, still good, radio friendly music, but maybe more guitar focused, maybe more live piano sounds. These are all things that are not absent in K-pop, but I think you can see what I mean. Just the general feeling that music will switch towards a feeling where the instrumentation will become more popular because that will become a new cool thing. And then in a weird way, like with a lot of groups who open up the door, they tend not to be the exemplar of what they open up the door to. So, I think when people talk about heavy metal, I think the old example is Black Sabbath started heavy metal and then was it Metallica perfected it, that kind of thing. You could say a similar thing about rock and roll. I mean, where does rock and roll start? Go back to like Bill Haley in the Comets or something, and then like the Beatles perfected it. It's like someone opens the door and then someone perfects it later. And so I suspect that there will be more bands coming up who we've not seen, who maybe create this new sound that we still haven't heard, and there will be this new sound, this new Korean rock sound. But QWER, I feel like I just get this vibe that that's what we're looking at. Everything about the social media, the popularizing the musician's journey, whereas the idol's journey would have been the more popular thing before. Popularizing that, making it look cool, having the impact and the reach that they've had. Yeah, I'm willing to put my belief in the fact that this could be the harbinger of change, because apart from anything else, it's not just QWER, revolutionary. It's a case of something needs to happen at some point, because the more things go on the same, the more hungry people will be for the new thing. And that's why I think that whereas if you'd had QWER 10 years ago, it would have been an interesting thing, maybe on the sideline, maybe opened its own little genre. But having QWER now, people are so familiar with K-pop as it is, and I understand the formula being stuck to. It was such a big thing for Korean music and for world music, having this new thing in there. And when something works, it's easy to want to stick to the formula that works, because you want to assure yourself success. If your country has a sound that is popular, why would you deviate from that massively? You're going to want to stick roughly within that genre that is making your country so successful. Sorry, that's my computer saying, stop recording, the hard drive's full. But yeah, this is what we're looking at here. I think we're looking at a situation where QWER are indicative of something that is coming. It's not come yet. It could come in the next few months. It could come in the next few years. But I think we're about to see a change coming. I think bands are going to start becoming cool. And when bands start becoming cool, bands who already exist, like Rolling Quartz, will start to get more attention. Like, there'll be people who are suddenly into band music. Maybe they're listening to QWER and stuff, and then one of them will pick up a Rolling Quartz CD and go, "Oh my god, have you checked this out? Check out Rolling Quartz! Oh my god, yeah." It's like it'll be like there's always the person who wants to be ahead of the trend. It's like, oh yeah, someone will be like, oh yeah, I listen to QWER. I prefer band music to normal K-pop music, and then everyone else will be like, yeah, me too. And then someone will want to get ahead of that. It's like, well, I heard this thing called Rolling Quartz. Check this out. This is like even more band-like. And then people are, oh, yeah, I want to listen to that too. And then you see the dominoes tend to fall. Everyone wants to get ahead of the trend. And of course, there will be more bands who we still have never heard of. Well, not heard of yet. This is the way I think it's going to go. I would love to know what you guys think. I think that kind of rounds off everything that I was saying. Get in the comments, tell me what you think. I could be totally wrong, but I feel like everything seems to support it. Maybe QWER won't be that band. Maybe another band will be the ones to do that. But I feel like QWER are heading in that direction. So I would be very interested to know what you guys think in regards to this. Let me know. Get in the comments. Obviously, if you haven't watched it yet, then please do scroll up. Please do check out my where is it? My QWER video. Yay! I'm looking forward to listening to more of their music as well. I thought I'd get further comments on this before diving in. I thought it would be nicer to do this now after one song, when you guys can pity my ignorance. But I think, well, like I say, because I've got more familiarity with the industry at large than I do with this group, I thought it would be interesting to drop this comment now and see what you guys think. But anyway, there you go. Second time recording this, because, of course, the first time I recorded this, just let's have one more look and enjoy how beautiful it was. I can't believe I managed to get a discount on a 22nd floor hotel room in Korea. And I managed to record perfectly as the sun was going down. And then the microphone didn't work properly. Look at my glass of water. It's not champagne. All right. Anyway, let's leave you with that scenery. Imagine that's my window. Thanks so much for checking this out. As always, get in the comments, tell me what you think, and until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these, or wherever I am. For now, ciao, ciao.